Aloha, everyone. Just a quick note before we get started. This episode was recorded at the one-year anniversary of the LA fires that took place in January of 2025. The fires devastated the Pacific Palisades and Altadena neighborhoods, and as such, some of this content in relation to those fires and the ensuing aftermath may be graphic for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Inside the Desert Oasis Room.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Desert Oasis Room. We are recording a very special episode today. It's the one-year anniversary of the Palisades and Eaton fires here in Southern California. And I thought it would be interesting to hear some of the stories from that, from people that saw it from different perspectives. So we have a friend, actually we have three friends here. I'm going to start with Nick Papadakis. Nick is someone that I drove around with to pass out food to first responders and to those in need. And I helped him at the Legion, the American Legion there, more than once. We made phone calls, we had meals prepared, all that kind of stuff to do our part. And another friend that we have here is Sean Moffitt, who was one of the first responders, firefighter, that spent how many weeks were you?
12 days, almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks, sleeping in the bush.
Mm-hmm. Rose Bowl.
Sleeping in the bush
Yep.
out there, more than Rose Bowl.
Malibu,
also.
yeah.
And last but not least, our friend Nick Petty, who was the person who was probably impacted the most and unfortunately lost his home. So three perspectives that we thought would be interesting to share with you guys. We've never actually all talked about this together. Mm-hmm. So you guys are going to hear this for the first time, the way that we're hearing it the first time. But let's start by saying thank you to everybody for coming to the Desert Oasis Room today. I appreciate you guys all driving out. Thank you.
Thanks for hosting.
Absolutely. And our friend Nick Petty, who is a bartender at the Lucky Tiki in Highland Park, made our first round of cocktails. So thank you for that.
It's delicious.
You're very welcome.
I'm excited to have Nick's cocktails. He's such a talented bartender. So thank you. And I will attempt to make something next. See, they're laughing at me already. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, thanks guys. I don't even know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a once in a lifetime event, would you say?
I really hope so.
I hope so too, because here's the thing. The past couple of days, especially out here, we get a lot of winds where I live, and it's still windy outside, and it's almost exactly to the day 1 year later.
Yeah, it's windy. It's windy back, in my new neighborhood as well. And I mean, it was windy on the 7th and 8th too, which is inappropriate if you ask me. It's really, I mean, like jokes aside, it for real is a trigger. We, my wife and I went to we went to a vigil that on Wednesday night, which was the 7th. The fire started on the 7th. Most of us found out our houses were gone morning of the 8th. But on the 7th, we went to a vigil that was being hosted by our neighbors, a candlelight vigil. And then we went to a separate vigil / demonstration that was being held on Fair Oaks, like a larger one. There was a couple hundred people there. And it was windy and people were like, it's total trigger,
It is.
People were upset. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's just something we, those of us who lived it, just kind of have to get over.
I can't imagine what that's like. I do have some friends who've lost, I know two other people who've lost their homes in a fire. And I know one guy who lost his home twice. He lost two homes over the course of several years. And I'm just going to start with, I remember when those fires started to kick off. Of course, when it gets really windy, we get all these what would you call them, advisories, Sean?
Mhm.
For
Notifications.
notifications, because there's a potential for electrical lines to get knocked down and spark fires and stuff out here. A lot of brush out here in California, Southern California specifically, because LA is built in, like, there's a mountain range that runs through LA. And in the summertime, or because we don't really get a lot of rainfall, a lot of times it's just dry brush.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when these fires started happening, I remember texting you. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but I texted you like a regular text. And you said, oh, you know, we're boxing some stuff up right now because there's a fire that started in Eaton Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just going to evacuate just to be safe.
And I apologize. You may actually be misremembering. My version of this story is not super interesting. We decided to leave our house and stay with a friend when the wind picked up again. Because if you remember the Monday night, it was really windy, and there was a big tree that hung above our bedroom. And the fire started Tuesday evening, but Monday night was windy also, and the tree was kind of like brushing on the roof, and my dog was going ballistic, and we just slept super bad. I remember telling everyone at work the next morning, like, oh my God, that wind last night, right? And so when the wind started picking up again, I posted about this the other day. I spent that Tuesday afternoon, I was complaining, like, I was all down on our house because we had like some mice in the house in the weeks leading up, and like our windows were kind of old windows, so like dust and stuff was blowing in, and I was like, oh, this piece of shit house, and which, like, obviously I totally regret those being like my last feelings of my former home that I loved truly, but so I was like all down on like the dust and stuff blowing into the house, and like we had like mouse traps out and stuff, and I was like, oh, this fucking place,
Right.
And so anyway, so then the wind was blowing and my dog was getting upset, and so we decided to go, and I figured the power was going to go out anyways. I was working from home, so we decided to go to a friend's house where we might have power throughout the night, might not be as windy. We don't have to worry about like a tree blowing through the roof or through the window. And the fire started about 45 minutes after we left the house.
So that's interesting to hear your perspective. So I may be misremembering because it was a year ago. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I do remember was our texts back and forth were rather routine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember you thinking like, yeah, like when this thing, passes, like, I can't wait to get back home. I just want to get back home. I remember you thinking, like, the thought of your house burning down was not on your mind. I remember, like, we were just going back and forth, like, yeah, we're cool. Because I kept checking in with you, I remember. And you were like, yeah, we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I texted you. I didn't get any reply.
Mm-hmm.
And then about maybe 2 hours later, your wife posted something on Instagram on her stories. Mm-hmm. About you guys losing your home, and my heart just fucking dropped, because I remember thinking like you were looking forward to just, I don't want to stay somewhere else. I want to be back home. So I'm just waiting for this stuff to pass so we can get home.
Well, yeah, when we left the house, we just thought it was going to be windy, and then the fire started, and all the information we had been fed throughout the night. We didn't really sleep, but once the fire started, and all the information we had been fed throughout the night was that it was east of Allen Avenue, and we kind of lived pretty far west from Allen, so we weren't worried about it until late. They had set up a base at Charles Farnsworth Park, which we were like, well, they wouldn't set up there if the fire was going to blow right past it, and then it did. And the evacuation warnings didn't go out till middle of the morning. I can't remember exactly the time, but it was like 3 a.m, somewhere around there. But we were already long gone at that point. But
so
it was just a long night.
Let's paint a quick picture about what the situation.
The evacuation
was like.
order, I should say. Sorry.
So for our friends that are listening that are not from the Southern California area, we experienced an unprecedented amount of wind throughout the region. 100 mile per hour. Would we say that? 80 to 100 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, they were. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah,
I thought they were
high
something
winds
like
we've never
really
seen
high
before,
winds, like
yeah.
really.
I heard up to 100. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard up to 100, and it was all over Southern California, out here as well in the Inland Empire. You know, when we get these really big winds out here, they knock down our fences. I've replaced my fence on each side of my house, both sides and the back, at least 2 or 3 times. Sometimes, some sides I've done 3 times, some I've done twice already in the amount of time that I lived here, because the winds get really strong. And the first fires during this time started in the Palisades. And if you're not familiar with what happened to the Palisades, just about the whole city burned down. The whole city, not like a neighborhood, the whole city. And everyone in that part of the world or that part of the state was displaced. And then at the same time, how far away is Eaton Canyon from Palisades?
Far.
20 miles?
Far, yeah.
20 miles, something like that, right? There's a fire happening over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Altadena burns down.
Same thing. Pretty much the whole town.
Pretty much the whole town. And it's just one of these things that, you know, excuse the pun or the phrase or what I'm going to say. It was like a perfect storm
Mm-hmm.
of wind and fire, dry brush, all of that, right? It was devastating. It was to the point where people were such in a panic because the fires were blowing around, because even though the fires are raging, the winds are just blowing like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's carrying embers all over the place, to the point where there were hills in Hollywood that started, what was the name of that?
There was above the Legion
Yeah.
had a
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
up there. Runyon Canyon, I think.
Runyon Canyon,
Right,
that's what it was.
right, yep.
So there was a fire there, and they started evacuating in Hollywood. And my son lives in East Hollywood, Los Feliz area, and he was ready to go. They lost power for a couple of days, and they started packing because there was an evacuation zone that went right up to the block before where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought, okay, once that crosses over to us, we're going to evacuate. And I remember Stephanie was like, what the fuck is he waiting for? Just go, leave right now. He just needs to leave right now. Everyone was in a panic. But then you couldn't leave Hollywood because those streets were never designed for millions of people to go through at the same time, even though they do on a regular rush hour day. But when there's a situation like this,
It felt like that all over. I mean, once we had found out our house was gone and we went over to my sister's place in Sherman Oaks, at one point I think there was a fire in each cardinal direction. And because there's a fire in near Sherman Oaks too, if you remember, and
Yeah.
smaller one. But just for a couple of days there, it just was like, oh, you know, we feel surrounded by fire, you know, and yeah, back to your point, by the way, like about your son, like don't wait for those orders. Like if you're scared or if you think it's happening, just get out, because you know we left like hours before, and once the evacuation order had happened, I was scared to go back to my house because I had already seen what happened that afternoon in the Palisades, where people had to leave their cars on the road because the traffic was so backed up, and actually leave by foot. And we didn't experience anything like that, which I'm thankful for. That's why my version of the story is kind of boring. Like I actually never even saw the fire on the hill, like from my house
dude,
or anything.
your version is not boring. Because I saw
Yeah.
some of your reactions
Uh-huh.
on Instagram, especially your wife.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the video of you guys driving up to your house the first time after the fires were put out. And I remember like just hearing your wife start crying,
Mm-hmm.
you know, seeing just the rubble, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole, like, I remember the first thing she said was like, stupid fucking peacocks,
Yeah.
because they're all over your street, right?
Yeah, and they survived, man.
And they survived.
Yeah.
And I remember her saying like, oh, those stupid fucking peacocks, like crossing in front of your car.
Uh-huh.
And then right when you got to your house, I just heard her just start weeping.
Yeah.
And it's even affecting me now because like I felt the pain, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
It's that video, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've watched it a lot
yeah,
on my
yeah,
phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's
Yeah.
a tough pill, man.
I think Sean earlier before, I had to stop him before we started recording because he was asking about the chronology of
Right.
how you experienced it. I'm curious about that now too. What were you going to ask?
Well, you kind of answered it. It was like, oh, you see the fire, let's pack the car, let's get out. But it was like you left way before you even saw any red stuff. And
Yeah,
it's just the wind alone was concerning you.
It's so funny where my head was at. Like I said, I was complaining that dust was blowing in the house. Tuesday was trash day on our street, so the trash cans were empty. They were blowing all over the street. So I was like,
right.
I was getting cinder blocks out the backyard and like putting them in the trash can so that
wow.
because my head was like, oh, my trash can's gonna dent my neighbor's car.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff I was thinking about. And the main thing being that I thought maybe the tree was going to land on the roof, or, there was a lot, you live in Southern California. There's all these old phone lines and stuff that like they don't even use anymore. Like when they switch to fiber and stuff for your house, they don't take those old lines down. So
Right.
most of our backyards have about 1 million cords and
cables.
wires hanging around. So the tree was like tugging on a cord. I made a video even. I sent it to my dad. I was like, look at this tree pulling on this wire. Like, I don't even know what that is. Like, what if that starts a fire? Like I thought like I was going to be the main problem that night for some reason, like my house, and like I said, and the other main thing I was worried about was missing work. I was working really late nights at that time, working from home. And I told my boss, like, hey, give me a few minutes while I go set up at my friend's house because I'm pretty sure they're going to turn off the power over here. This was way before. And as we all saw, they turned off the power way too late. And, there was arcing out on the mountain.
Right.
So when
From
you
the
went,
power
when you went
station.
back to the house, did you not know if it was standing or not?
No, I knew.
Did someone let you know?
Yeah, the fire like we keep saying, the fire started Tuesday night by about 8:30 in the morning. My neighbor had let us know that the house was gone down.
Did your neighbor stay, or did your neighbor?
He left and came back early in the morning. Yeah, we had kind of like a hardcore tough guy that lived across the street from us, and he made his way back there early. And also, I guess our landlord had gone by. This was like, I think as they were kind of barricading off, like north of Woodbury. My landlord had made her way up there and let us know as well. So we got it from two different sources before 10 a.m.
It's funny, I don't know if funny is the right. Let's just say it's ironic. I don't know, a few months before, I think it was a few months before, we had like a little pizza making thing at your place. Mm-hmm. It was me and...
If people don't know, I had a home tiki bar that
right.
called Echo Island that...
right.
This is where this party was that Adrian's about to tell this story.
Right, so this is, and I'm actually getting to that. So Nick had just gotten this new pizza oven, and he was all excited. He's like, oh, I got this new pizza oven. You got to come over. I'm going to make some pizzas. And I'm like, okay. So
right on.
There was just a few of us. It was me and Brad and Alan and Michael.
Yeah.
And we're making these pizzas out front. Then we bring him into his tiki bar. And, being the YouTuber, podcaster guy that I am, I'm filming stuff and I'm taking photos and all that. And before I leave, Nick says, can you do me a favor and just not post any of that, or just be careful about what you take photos of, because I don't want to have my landlord see this tiki bar that I made in the house.
Yeah, my lease was about to renew, and like I put the Echo Island account on private and everything because like I don't know, I just
yeah.
My landlord never knew about the tiki bar in there. If you've seen Echo Island, it's a lot of people can't believe that I did that in a rental. So
it's amazing. So that particular footage,
I
hung on to it.
Yeah.
And then after the bar burnt down, the house burnt down, I waited a few months. And I remember thinking like, well, I don't want this footage to just sit on my computer because it was not just an amazing space, it was a welcoming space. It was, like it was where friends gathered. And I figured that you would want to have the memories, right?
Yeah.
So I cut a little video together of it, and it is so dark in there. The video is a little grainy, but
I rewatched that video earlier this week on Wednesday, the 1-year anniversary of the fire, and I was thankful that you had made it because it's pretty good coverage of the tiki bar. I was always kind of bad at getting photos and videos and stuff. The other thing is we recorded a podcast episode in there, and I scrubbed through it as well on Wednesday, and you were asking me a lot of questions about certain things in my home tiki bar that I kind of haven't thought about in a while. You were just asking like, oh, like what's this over there? What's the story behind that? And it felt like I was in the room again in my head. And I got a little choked up, to be honest. So I'm glad that we had recorded that.
I'm glad too. And I thought, like I'm going to put this footage out there because not only did I want you to have access to that, but I want everybody to see like, this really fantastic home bar that doesn't exist anymore, right? As a tiki person, we understand what it's like to lose spots, but not necessarily to fire, but to lose spots. And we have to document these places, right? And especially if it's a place that was your own personal space, sometimes it's nicer to have more than just the memory, right? You have a little video that you can, it's on YouTube. You can download it if you want to download it. And have it for yourself. Put it on your phone, put it on your computer, or whatever, right? And then you have a memory of this place.
Yeah, that's my favorite stuff. Videos of us hanging out in there. Our podcast episode. I've talked about this before. It wasn't about having like the best collection of tiki crap.
Sure.
And I did have some nice stuff.
You did.
But it was about hanging out and having people over and treating them to a nice experience. So, having that video and that podcast episode that we recorded in there, it kind of takes me back to that mindset,
Okay. I'm glad that you're able to enjoy that and have those memories. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk to Sean about this firefighting effort because
that's a
they had him sleeping in tents, right?
Well, so just to kind of give a clearer vision of how things occurred from the firefighter perspective. So the fire blew through. Typically on like wildland fires last for weeks, sometimes months. This came in so fast and furious, like you said earlier. I've been on the job almost 30 years, and I've never seen anything like that. My dad was a firefighter for 35 years. He'd never seen anything. We've never seen anything like it. So literally, the fire blew through. I wasn't on the initial response to fight the fire. I responded 2 or 3 days later on what we call an urban search and rescue team. We're specially trained to do heavy lifting, confined space, search, and they activated the USAR team, Regional Task Force 2, to now go through the homes because each home needs to be searched because of potential.
Yeah, you were
bodies.
looking for deceased, right?
Correct. And it wasn't a search and rescue operation. It was more like just a search and discover. Because it blew through. And this is only 2 days later. And just to give you an idea, 2-3 days later, there was no firefighting efforts to speak of. We transitioned all into like search.
There was still fire though.
There was fire, but it was certainly, it blew through so fast and furious that no, there was still fire at the head of it. But so I was deployed 2 days later to on a specialized team to search the homes. So we were initially dispatched to Altadena, and we were our base of operations was at that grocery outlet. I think it was on Lake or something. It's on Lake. Yeah. And we all said and done, we searched I want to say 8,300 homes. The whole team. The whole team. And the team consists of a bunch of other different departments. So, and each one needs to be plotted. Each one needs to be, primary search. I just learned this yesterday. I have challenge coins for each of you from our deployment.
Oh, nice.
Courtesy of Chief George Villanueva, who you met. He was our chief and our incident commander. The operation was called Operation Blue Backpack. So, don't ask me where they got the name. I don't know where they got the name.
How do they name these?
I don't know where they got the. Yeah, how do they? I don't know. And that was also the call sign for if we found a body, you say Operation Blue Backpack. You don't say, hey, on the air because people are scanning.
Yeah.
So first or second day, we got called. There was a blue backpack, and it was a 95-year-old guy who decided to stay home, and we found some.
Those old timers
some-
sometimes
no,
they're
just
like,
old school,
I'm not
yeah.
leaving. Yeah.
Found his.
Well,
Found
they
a
have no
lo-
one to help them get out.
Right. A neighbor said he decided to stay.
He decided to stay.
He decided to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I've lived here
So
70 years. I'm not going to go." So.
Well, and a lot of people we're used to wildfire here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
you get ready and then nothing happens. So I think some of the old folks were
so that's I
They could have
didn't
been
know
misled a little
a
bit.
little
Yeah.
disillusioned at least.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this 95-year-old person, and now I'm like, I'm trying to envision what it was like when he was sitting in his home and it caught fire, and he's just watching the house start falling apart, and he's still sitting in there. That must have been horrifying.
I would imagine he probably would have tried to do something to maybe save his house, and then took refuge in the bathtub.
Yeah, but still to see like the walls like catch fire
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah,
There was a video where they were in the Palisades and the big glass windows.
Right.
It was like a
Oh, yeah.
firestorm.
Right. There was a
Yeah.
firestorm right outside the windows. You could see the fire, just as like there were trees or flowers outside, and it was all fire, and they're inside their house. Yeah, I mean, like,
There was a body discovered with a garden hose.
yeah.
I heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I was in that area. Yeah,
You were.
yeah.
So
All this to say, rest in peace to those 19 souls in Altadena. I don't remember what
Absolutely.
the count was.
Absolutely.
I think it was
Palisades,
31 total.
but 31
For-
It'd be a
total.
from all
public
the-
service announcement, but people always have this image of them hosing down their house. Do they ever shut the water off, and you would be out of luck? To put-
They don't shut the water off. What happens is, water pumps are
taxed?
electrical.
Yeah.
They pump with electricity, and once you lose the electricity, a lot of times you get no water.
Okay.
And that we could have a whole other podcast on the politics and the blame game.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you may not have water very quick, and a lot of times we'll have to tank it. Just use the water on our tank, and
So when you are doing what did you call it? Search and
just discover.
Search and discover. When you're doing a search and discover and you're looking for people who have perished in the fire, how can you tell the difference between human bones and rubble?
Okay, so that's the blue backpack, the gentleman we found. It was obvious. It was only a long bone and a vertebrae. It was very obvious.
Okay, so you recognize the vertebrae.
Yeah, for the most part, right. That was actually pretty easy. So what happened is that the process is we were tasked to look at certain areas of the home, the bathtub, the basement, cars, and pretty much we focused on cars and bathtubs and bathrooms. There were several times where you look in the car and you go, okay, that could be something.
Is the car a place of refuge because they're trying to get away, or
Right.
they're hiding from the fire?
Either or, that they were trying to pull out of their driveway. We found them in the driveway. We found them in the middle of the road.
And the fire
We
just
found 'em
moved too fast.
too fast, right? And they got overcome. But so theirs was a few times that I saw something. Okay, hey, I'll stop. Possible blue backpack. Then what happens is sheriffs show up, because I got to be. I talked to my chief yesterday. He said, "Hey, I'm doing this podcast with my friend. Any suggestions of what to say, what not to say?" So there's some things I got to be vague about because it's still
Okay.
under investigation.
That's fair, yeah.
Because it's a crime scene still, or potential crime scene. But if we saw something that we thought that looked human, I'll stop. Sheriffs come in, they take a picture of it, and they had anthropologists on site that they would text a picture to, and they'd go, yay or nay. And
But they can tell too if it's just like
the anthropologists can. Yeah, they can.
Okay, so here's where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. So my father's cremated. I never saw what his ashes looked like, but I had a pet that got cremated, and I saw what her ashes look like, and it just looks like gravel. Mm-hmm. They can recognize.
Well, we're talking small people. Something that did not completely
Okay.
incinerate or burn. They're like, again, the one that we found and identified was a long bone and a vertebrae, very obvious.
right.
But if it was just ash, no, there's no.
Right.
I don't think anybody could identify that.
Right.
But 12 days of doing that, and then again we moved to Altadena, Eaton, and then got redeployed to Malibu.
Wow, that's crazy. I remember you sending me photos and thinking, holy moly. I mean, you see these photos, and then when we see it in person, because Nick and I, the other Nick and I don't know if you're the other Nick or you're the other Nick.
It's funny because we're both Nick P.
We're both Nick
So-
P. Yes, and for the record, just for people to, maybe they'll find this amusing, sometimes I'll text the wrong Nick P.
Right.
Not the wrong
Right,
Nick
right.
P. The one I was
Right.
not intended to get the text. There's no wrong
Right.
Nick P. You're both the right Nick
We're
P.
both correct.
Sometimes I'll call and they'll answer and I'll say Nicky P, and then they'll start talking. I'll think like, oh, you're not the Nicky P I'm trying to call. So
Yes.
the other Nick P, was organizing, or part of the group that organized some of the, I don't know if you'd call that relief. What would you call that when they're handing out?
It saved me.
meals and-
It saved me to see a
and that
couple
kind of
familiar
thing.
faces and have
Donation
some
center.
legit food. Yeah, so
It's
yeah.
called mutual aid, and it's
Mutual
the most
aid.
important thing
Mutual
in times
aid.
like this because
Okay.
all we have is each other. It's. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for things like this.
Okay, mutual aid. I felt compelled to helping because the day after the main day of fires, the community really came together. There were people donating, like insane, long lines of people donating things, and these donation centers being overwhelmed with things that people were bringing to help out, right? My son and his girlfriend did that. They went to the Y. They didn't go there to donate. They went down there to volunteer, to help with donations, help hand out donations, help organize donations as they came in, whatever the YMCA needed. And we have a group text, right? This family group text. He sent us a video, and this video was in no way like him bragging or anything like that. He was so shocked at how much was coming in and how overwhelmed they were that he wanted to show us a video. Like, he sent this video and he said, look, you guys, we're down here at the YMCA downtown because we wanted to volunteer with the donations and stuff. And this place filled up within 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And he had a video scanning the room and a video of cars coming and going. He's like, this is insane. Like, this was what the video was about. He wanted to share with us just how insane of an experience it was, right? And when I saw that, I thought, wow, what am I doing sitting here? I need to go out there too. I need to go out and I need to do something too. Like, if my son does it and he does it like unannounced with no, like there was no social media posts, like he didn't do it for any kind of clout or any kind of recognition. Like, nobody knows that he did it unless I said something, because he never talked about it. So I thought, wow. So if my son can do that, then I got to do that. I'm his parent. I should know better, right? So then Nick was looking for volunteers, and I said, yeah, count me in. So I went over to the American Legion, and that place was a buzz of same stuff, donations coming and going, and they had people in the kitchen preparing full meals. Like, they had a caterer making full meals. And so we boxed all this stuff up, right? Got in his car, and we handed out hundreds of boxes. And I don't want to take away this from you, Nick. So if you want to interject at all, please feel free to interject.
Nick Papadakis.
Yeah.
The one and only.
Yeah, so at Hollywood Post 43, y'all probably seen the building. You've probably driven by it. It's right next to the Hollywood Bowl. Has a cannon in front. Looks like a Mason Hall almost, or a pyramid, like a square pyramid, but South American pyramid. But yeah, up in our theater, we have a state-of-the-art movie theater that became a donation coming and going center. And then downstairs we have a kitchen. We were preparing meals. LA Chefs for Relief, started by Ari Vasquez and helped by Jade Gahe, were pulling in all the people they had worked with, and they came and volunteered in droves, and they had shifts, and they were seeing the logistics of the veterans using their sort of military skills upstairs, paralleled with the chefs and sous chefs and back help, their skills was very similar, actually, the way they were able to move meals out, find places. Because the big thing was just finding people in need, because sometimes a donation center is overrun with stuff. And it's like, we can't, too much to do with, and then there'll be one with nothing. So finding the people that where things needed to go, finding first responders, because people would just show up, Sean, with like, for you guys, with pizzas, just
Right.
50 pizzas, and you're like, this is great, but pizzas aren't always fuel. It's nice late at night and stuff, but y'all need a real fuel.
You know, I want to add to that because Sean was very thankful about us coming out and bringing meals, right? That particular day.
I was emotional. I had
They
to put
were-
my sunglasses on.
They were like, how many meals do you want? And I remember I said like 100, let's get 100. And we loaded up Nick's car and we drove out there. We had 100 boxed meals, right? And it was like real food. I don't know if you remember like one day it was fajitas. And,
Yeah, the way they always put it is a protein,
Oh no!
yeah,
you know,
a protein, a carb,
carbohydrated, and
yeah,
like some
protein, a carb, and
vegetables.
some
or-
vegetables,
yeah.
right? And Sean was like, you know, everyone's well intentioned, and we appreciate all of it, but we're getting pizzas and donuts. People are bringing out boxes of donuts and boxes of pizzas, and we appreciate all of it, and we love that everyone's helping, but that's the stuff that weighs you down, right? You eat pizza and you eat donuts, and you want to take a nap, right? It's not real fuel for fighting fires. So he was happy about getting something that wasn't so carb rich and sugar rich and heavy, right? And man, it was really like an eye opening day because Nick and I drove around. And,
Oh, yeah. I don't
and
know
we
how
were
you
like,
got
holy
through.
shit, look at that house, look at that one,
Yep.
look at it. And we couldn't even get into the burn zone because we tried to get in to look at your house. And I not for the spectacle, I don't think you had seen your house yet at that time. So we wanted to give you like an update, show you photos and all that, and be like, hey dude, we passed by your house.
Yeah, my landlord and my neighbor had showed me, but I don't think you and I had talked about it yet. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, so we were trying to, I don't know if do you a favor or whatever, or just keep you informed. You
Yeah.
know, we thought like, hey, let's go by Nick's house and maybe we can send him some photos and, you know.
yeah, or maybe there's something there still.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
Okay,
yeah. And the there's National Guard blocking the whole perimeter of
Yeah.
this big burn area, and we couldn't get past them. And we were trying to figure out ways. Like Nick was like, "Oh, if we give him pizza," and I'm like, "Everybody's giving him pizza."
Yeah.
Well, what if? And then Sean was like, "Tell him you're my friend." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be the guy that's like, I know the owner, right?" So,
Tell them we're here delivering Regional Task Force 2 meals. The meals. So yeah, like Adrian, like you were saying, you know, me being old and a little bit out of shape, you know, Pop-Tarts and stuff they're okay and stuff like that. And
Pop Tarts are great, dude.
It's great, but-
Pop Tarts are not okay.
But
They're
honest-
fucking fantastic.
right? And even the chow at the base camp, you know, Cal Fire, they have a whole rolling kitchen, and they're prepping food for thousands of guys, right? And the younger guys that are really into their fitness and watching what they eat, it's hard for them. They get, and I don't. This is such a, you know, kind of off topic, but they have digestive problems because they're not eating the way they normally. They're not working out, and literally the day that you guys came and brought that, I mean, there was like 3 or 4 guys that are super into their fitness. They said, "Oh my God, those two are God sent," because some of these guys get so bogged down, like you were saying, that they're just so uncomfortable and
Yeah.
they can't operate. They want to sleep, and so when you guys, on top of the fact that for me personally, that was like I'm maybe 7, 8, 9 days into it, and going and searching homes that are burnt and walking over people's beds that you knew they were just sleeping in days earlier, or seeing burnt up toys or cars, or hearing a rumor of this guy was trapped in this house. It gets you emotionally.
Yeah.
It affects you emotionally. So when I saw you two, I just about, excuse my I shit my pants.
Yeah.
Because Nick really set it up good. Like, hey, we're busy here. We're not going to be able to make it. I'm going to have a runner send it down
Right,
to you.
right.
Where is it at? And I'm going, okay, yeah. Hey, I'm trying to work out with George, Battalion Chief Villanueva. Says, yeah, if they can make it, have them come here, And Nick really set me up. And then we come in on we come into the base of operation, and there you two are standing. I went, oh my God, this is awesome. So
Yeah, we wanted to
that was-
surprise you.
it was a surprise. Nick set it up pretty good.
I was
'cause
saying
thought,
to Nick, he doesn't know we're coming, right? And he's like, oh, he doesn't think we're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we even had 3 choices of proteins, as they say. We're like pork or
yeah.
chicken or beef.
We
and we're like,
had a mix. We had a
okay.
mix of them.
there was one guy from Santa Fe Springs Fire that was on he had like 4 of your meals.
Yeah.
One
I know who
right
you're
after
talking
another.
about. The tall guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's brain food,
We call him
too.
Cash.
You
That's his
forget
nickname,
about
Cash,
it. It's
yeah.
like, you got to make good decisions late at night. That's brain food,
Yeah.
not just body food. So
It's really eye-opening for people that you watch it on the news. It's different than seeing it in person, right?
Oh,
seeing
100%.
seeing the devastation in person, it was really, I just can't imagine. I honestly cannot imagine. I'm not one of those I'm sorry, I know how you feel. No, that's bullshit. I don't know how you feel. And all I can say is I'm sorry. So,
Thank you for that. And, thanks for springing into action. Like I said earlier, all we have is each other. Insurance didn't really help. Red Cross hasn't really helped. FEMA certainly hasn't done a thing. And, it's stuff like this that has gotten us by, maybe a day or two after the fire, there was a clothing drive over on Melrose. My mom had heard about it, and we were staying with a friend in Culver City, and she came by, and we were just kind of paralyzed, didn't know what to do. And my mom kind of dragged me out of the house. She was like, let's go get you some stuff over here. And we went. It was so hectic. It was so full of people. Everyone's house had burned down. I was just like in shock, and
yeah.
and this woman, this volunteer was there. I didn't catch her name or anything, but I think about her all the time. She turned to me and my mom. She said, how can I help you guys? Because, people were there picking up things for their family members or friends who were displaced. And neither of us had the words. And she just was like, okay. Like she could see it on my face,
We don't
And this
know.
woman handed me a duffel bag, and she just walked around and, okay, would your wife like this? Do you like this? And I was just like nodding my head or yes or no. And finally, and I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't speak. And finally at the end, I just was like, gave her a big hug. I was crying, man. I think about this lady all the time.
Yeah.
And just a volunteer, So you guys spring into action.
Yeah,
meals, all that stuff.
And
It
same
helps.
thing. Like for the record, I didn't post anything. We just did that because it's the community coming together, right? And I'm not even out there. I don't live out there, but I have friends that were affected. Stephanie and I, between the two of us, we counted, I think, 7 people we knew that lost their homes.
Yeah.
And,
If you live in Southern California, you know somebody.
Absolutely.
That's how many people it was.
Yeah.
For those who
Absolutely.
don't
It's
know.
like the 911 of the West Coast, right? Everyone knows somebody that was affected.
Mm-hmm.
Some people know more than one. And, I'm curious. I'm curious, like, in the days following and where you are now, you've just got into a new place. So congratulations.
Thank you.
How was that? Like, what kind of an adjustment? How displaced were you? Where did you go? What did you do?
We were really lucky. Well, not lucky that we lost our home, but just fortunate to have friends and family to take care of us. So that first night was a long night. We went to our friend's place in Eagle Rock around 3-4 a.m. Even Eagle Rock was smoky, power out.
Right, yeah.
So we dipped again to my sister's place in Sherman Oaks and didn't go back to sleep. And then, like I said, found out the fire had happened. We split from my sister's place, went to my wife's best friend's house in Culver City and stayed the night there till the end of the week. And then a couple days later, these Airbnb vouchers were handed out from Airbnb has their own disaster relief nonprofit, and I don't know if it's a nonprofit, but an organization rather, and they handed out, it was $1,000 at a time, And if you ran out of, you could spend that how you want. And then if that ran out, you could apply for another one. We ended up getting two. So $2,000, two $1,000 vouchers. And we decided to go along. Everyone was talking about the air quality in LA, all this scary stuff, and don't walk your pets and yada, yada. And we were like, well, let's just go along. Let's go down to San Diego. We can take our dog on some nice long walks, because she was going kind of stir crazy those first 2 or 3 days. Spent about a little over a week in San Diego. We have a lot of friends there, took really good care of us. Friends in the hospitality business treated us to some nice dinners and stuff because they knew we were in the area. So thank you to those folks. You guys know who you are. And then eventually, sorry, my memory's fuzzy. Oh, we went to my friend's parents' house in Orange County. We still weren't really ready to get back into LA. Things were still kind of burning because the fire burned for technically for 20 something days, right?
Yeah.
So we were still kind of scared. And so we were just kind of staying in Orange County, San Diego. And eventually we went back to my aunt's house. I have an aunt who lives in the Woodland Hills area. And she was going to be out of town for a couple weeks. She splits her time between here and the UK. And she was like, come stay in my house. So we went there. And we got married in that house. It was good memories, good vibes. We stayed there for 11 months.
Oh,
which
yeah.
we weren't sure how long it was going to be, but everyone knows that rent is expensive in LA, but and they, I don't know how into this we want to get, but
It's
they
up to you.
they tried to
So-
prevent rent gouging and stuff. I don't
Right.
necessarily think that happened. The rent went way up after the fires. Everyone's looking for a house. The market is really competitive. 9,000 structures burned in Altadena. I'm not sure the count for the Palisades fire, but that's a lot of families displaced, and everyone's trying to kind of stay in California, or find somewhere to be while their house is being rebuilt. We rented our house, so we don't really have the option of going back. We had to just find somewhere that we could afford, that a place we would want to live in a neighborhood we would want to live, and it took almost a year to do that. But
Yeah.
I'm thankful for the new place. It doesn't really feel like home yet, We were lucky in those 11 months living with my aunt to not really need to purchase new things. She's lived in that house for years. So it's like, oh, the can opener's here. There's a cordless drill over here, towels, whatever, it's ready to go, if you're going to do a long stay. We're in the new house now,
You need
$1,000
all
at
that stuff
IKEA.
again.
Right when we moved in was Black Friday. We ordered a bunch of stuff on Black Friday. And I remember one day, the house was just full of new packages from stuff we had bought online on Black Friday. And I said out loud to my wife, whose fucking shit is this? This house is full of crap. What is this?
Right. Right.
And so, make a joke of it. But that's the truth. I've lived there for 5 weeks now, and I'm lucky. I'm thankful to have found a place that I could see potential in, but it's not there yet, and I think it'll take a long time.
Yeah, I expect that. There's going to be. It's traumatizing what you went through, so there's going to be that period of just getting over that, and then looking forward from there.
Yeah, there's good days and bad. Obviously, I tell everyone the same thing. We're okay. Thanks for asking. But obviously, it sucks.
Absolutely,
it's the worst thing.
Absolutely. And having said that, as tiki people,
knock on wood, it could always get worse, but it was a bad thing.
It was a bad thing. As tiki people, we're such pack rats, right? We're such hoarders with tiki mugs and carvings and, all of our tiki shit, right? And so when you lose everything, you're literally losing who you are, your identity as a tiki guy, right? Because that's part of being a tiki person, is just having all this shit.
It's funny. It's hard to drive that home for people for people who don't understand, because there's two things. Most people's houses haven't burned down, and most people most people don't have a hobby at all.
Yeah.
But most people aren't into stuff the way that tiki people are into tiki. And, and I consider myself not so much a hoarder, but my stuff was...
You were a mild one compared to a lot of people.
Well, right. But I'm really sentimental about
Of course.
things, and my stuff was a little curated, but my mom, months later, she didn't say this right away, but she was like, when it happened, like me and your sister were like, this couldn't have happened. This couldn't have happened to a worse person, because like Nick is so sentimental about his stuff.
Yeah.
Sentimental and particular, right? Like,
Yeah.
because some people, they hear you get a certain amount of money from your insurance company and they go, oh, well, that's good, right? It's like
Right.
kind of all they hear, oh, you have some money, so you're on the right foot again, right? It's like, I don't know if he wants me to shout this out by name, but like, okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the donation drive for clothes that I went to right away, that's all right, it's sweatpants.
I know what you're alluding to,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm alluding to. That's why
Yeah.
I'm mentioning this.
So that's sweatpants and Hanes t-shirts out the bag and stuff, and that's fine for a couple of days. But right away, I can't remember if it was the next day or the day after that. But our friend Sam from Deep Sea Divers, he asked for the address where I was staying, and I think he just picked up his dry cleaning and a couple other things at Target. But he dropped off a package for me that was like fresh underwear, fresh socks, fresh pair of Dickies, a vintage Pendleton from his dry cleaner, a trucker hat from Tiki T, a cool T-shirt from Turk's Cocktails in Huntington Beach, and a pair of boots, a cool Western belt. And I threw all that stuff on. I looked at myself in the mirror. I started crying because I'm getting choked up right now talking about it. It had only been a few days, but seeing myself in the mirror with those clothes on, some fresh stuff, I felt like myself, because, not to sound like a snob or whatever, but like I can't go to Target and like buy all new stuff and feel like myself, because,
all us tiki people understand, like we wear all these old Hawaiian shirts and we buy a bunch of vintage shit. And
yeah.
like,
Shaheen shirt he brought.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, and a Pendleton.
Yeah.
So that's what I was alluding to. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that you said that, because what I was basically wanted to do was give him a shout out
Yeah.
for, like his generosity. And maybe he doesn't know what kind of impact he made, but when we're identified by our stuff and then all our stuff burns down, our identity burns with it, right? And he went and he helped you find that again by
Yeah.
giving you all this stuff. So fuck yeah, man. Shout out to Sam.
Shout out Sam. And I also don't mean to single him out. Like, I posted about this the other day, but the tiki hobbyism crowd, they really came out and supported. And, there was a GoFundMe put up, separate from the one that my family put up for us.
I found 3 on GoFundMe.
There were 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, one was like literally strictly Echo Island. And I mean, sorry, I'm kind of losing the track here, but I'll get back to it. I used to kind of operate the Echo Island Instagram anonymously before the fire happened. Now I sort of use that as my personal account,
Right.
Because I don't have a home tiki bar anymore. But because it was a quote unquote tiki speakeasy in my rental
Yeah, it was.
house, so I tried not to put my face on there a whole lot and stuff. Now it's gone. I don't have to worry about it. But there's a bunch of GoFundMes out there. People have sent me so many packages, dude. Eve from Trader Vic's, vintage Trader Vic's mugs, like all this cool stuff. And like the point I'm trying to make, by the way, is like I know I've just shouted out Sam and Eve, but like so many people have done like some seriously nice stuff for me, and tiki or otherwise, and my family and my friends and my soul family, and it's. Like I said in my Instagram post the other day, I refuse to use the term silver lining, but the universe has proven to me something that I knew all along, which is like I have like a lot of really amazing people around me, and that's what's important.
Well, that's because you're a cool dude. I mean, like, we all love you, man. That's a sign that you're well loved, and you're not going to be well loved if you weren't who you were.
100%.
So yeah, so you deserve all that stuff, man. And when you're ready to get back into this tiki thing where you live now, I've said this again and again and again, man. I'm right here. I'm excited to help you build that bar and make my contribution to that space.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm absolutely here. I also wanted to give one more shout out. This is going to be like a really kind of weird, unorthodox shout out, but there was one time I was at the Legion, because I'd been there more than once during this process. Thank you to Nick for spearheading a lot of that with the people that I know. My son also went over there, and his girlfriend also went over there, and we all helped. And then they went back also without me and did stuff on their own. And there was a day I was in there. It was really, really crazy. Donations coming in and out. That theater that he's mentioned was just stacked with stuff. Sections of like, oh, you need baby stuff, go over there. Oh, men's clothes, go over there. And everything was organized in sections, right? And I said to Nick, like, when there was stuff in these giant boxes with food that people were putting in their cars to hand out, I said, who's paying for all this stuff? He's a guy who grew up in Altadena. He won the Powerball.
Yes.
Like the largest Powerball. It was like
He was the first Powerball millionaire.
It's like
Powerball billionaire.
It was
Yeah.
like $2 billion.
Yeah.
And he ended up buying a house in Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
And both those homes burnt down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, this is a famous story. Yeah.
and he funded all the food that was coming out
the
of the
Legion.
American Legion. So he doesn't get really a lot of recognition for that because, he's just some anonymous guy. And he didn't do it for any clout either.
Yeah.
He just said, yeah, whatever you guys need, get whatever you need and I'll pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's actually spending a lot of his money to try to rebuild Altadena.
Yeah, I guess his organization that he started is trying to get their hands on some of these lots that are for sale to try and build homes. This is supposedly the mission statement, and I hope it's true because, who knows? But
We don't
I
know.
choose to believe that this is the case. Homes that will be at least affordable, whatever that means in Southern California, and still maintain sort of the character and charm that Altadena used to have. That's something that people are really worried about in Altadena because it was a really charming,
Absolutely.
kind of vintage-looking town, and people are really worried about it sort of becoming,
Well, I'll say this. Only time will tell. However, based on his actions from what he did for the Legion to provide all of these meals, his heart's in the right place.
That's what I'm trying to say. He's a part of his mission statement is that he will try to maintain the charm that Altadena used to have.
So we're crossing our
so
fingers.
That's respectable. Yeah.
We're crossing our fingers that, we can get a little bit of that old town semblance back into Altadena. But, for now, we're going to start looking forward. We're at about the 1 hour mark. So,
Wow, that was fast.
yeah, we're going to wrap this one up and maybe just have some cocktails now.
Before we do that, I just want to shout out to everyone that was like, that's cynical me or whatever. Like California has these like stereotypes of all these different things and you just pick one and whatever. But what I saw, which is now a stereotype in my mind, is that people showed up and to help. And like your government and all that stuff, they were doing their thing too. But at the end of the day, we have to look out for each other, and people did. And I really found that,
Yeah, let's give a shout out to everybody who helped. I mean, we can't name everybody. We don't know everybody who helped, but there were, I don't even want to throw a number out there. How many people were out there donating and volunteering? And
I mean, it's insane. Just me personally, people who reached out to help me and my wife personally, the list is endless.
yeah,
It's
so,
amazing. I am like forever grateful. Everyone knows who they are. But
and you're one of thousands of
Yeah.
people that were affected who probably feel just like you, grateful for everybody that helped. And obviously we can't name everybody, but this is just a general thank you to everybody who, whatever you did to help, whether it was being on the front lines or whether it was helping with donations or whether it was helping pass out food or helping displaced people that lost their homes or donating clothing or whatever it is. Let's end it
Checking
with
in
that.
on
Let's end it in a positive thank you and
can I say
and
one thing
appreciation.
before you
Yes,
wrap up?
absolutely.
We talk about the anniversary like it's something that happened, But I just would like to remind everyone, if you this is something that is still happening, and if you know someone who was affected, continue to check in. It's
Okay.
we're all still really kind of dealing with this, and I want to shout out Postfire LA. They're a nonprofit that sprung up in the last year that is has a lot of good information and resources for people, because people listening might have gone through it too. We don't know, and so Postfire LA. And anyways, thanks to everyone who was out there, and thanks to everyone who helped me and my family. And
Absolutely.
I don't know, now I'm getting choked up again. Anyways.
All right.
Thanks to first
All right.
responders.
Thanks to the first responders.
Yes, thanks to the first responders.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
I know, Sean, that he had also made sacrifices. He was away from home for quite a while, and I believe your family had a little bit of anxiety of you being out there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
harder on them than me, actually.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what you do when
Yeah.
you have experience and you know what to expect in some ways. And
They don't know.
They don't.
They don't know what we're getting into.
They don't.
It's all,
They don't.
It's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right,
Nice.
party
It's
people.
nice.
Well, thanks for listening to another episode of Inside the Desert Oasis Room. If you'd like to follow our adventures, you can follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/PolynesianPop. And if you'd like to help support the show, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/PolynesianPop, where we release exclusive content and join us at parties and all kinds of other fun stuff.
It's
events
fun.
like
Be a Patreon. It's a blast.
that. It helps support the show and helps keep us on the air. So check that out. Until next time, cheers and aloha.
Aloha.
Cheers.